Welcome to a brand new video, and in today's episode I'm going to be replacing the outer track rod ends. Previously I replaced the top and the bottom ball joints, and I did notice that one of the rod ends didn't look too good, so I decided to go ahead and get myself some new tie rod ends. I will be replacing both sides, the driver's and the passenger side, because if I notice one side is shot, then the chances are the other side is either shot or it's not going to be too far behind. So it's always worth doing both sides at the same time. These track rod ends are not from the main dealer. I have chosen to use a product that is better than OE, and these are the Meyle HD, and they have been supplied to me by the vdub monkeys, who now have a large stock and selection of quality parts, and as a bonus they sent me a little air freshener. I'm not sponsored by the vdub monkeys, it's just that they actually supply the quality parts that I want and at a reasonable price. So I will leave a link down below to go check out the vdub monkeys, who are also on the socials, so go check them out over on Facebook and Instagram. This is actually a relatively straightforward kind of job. It shouldn't take too long. So you're not going to need many tools. There's a few spanners you're going to need, maybe some sockets, and possibly a hex Allen key to stop the thread on the rod end from spinning. So the first thing I'm going to do is to make sure that the handbrake is applied, and then choke the rear wheels, jack the front of the van up and support the van with my axle stands. I will leave a link down below to a more in-depth detail on removing a track rod and putting it back on. Basically, you want to undo the locking nut behind the actual track rod. So you loosen that, and then you count how many turns it takes to remove the actual track rod end. Now, if you're replacing with an OE from an OE, then they're going to be going back to the same place. They are the same sizes. However, as I am using the Meyle HD, these are slightly shorter, so I will have to make some adjustments. Otherwise, we would have a horrendous toe out if I left it as it was. So I will show you shortly on how I overcome this problem. But I will still need to get my tracking checked, because it can cause excessive tyre wear and doesn't really help your fuel consumption. So before I go ahead and remove the track rod end, I'm just going to take a little measurement. So I've got myself a ruler here, a metal ruler, rather than a tape measure, because I just find that this is going to be more accurate. So I'm going to place the end of the ruler up against the chassis leg there, and then from there I'm going to measure to where the track rod end goes through into the hub, into the swivel hub, and I'm going to measure it to the face. So from this corner to the face, and this is where it is right now with the steering locked in place. I'm going to take that measurement, so right to there it's 292. So now you can see this is the track rod end, and yeah, it's completely perished and worn away. The grease is getting out. It's not as tight as the new one, so it has, it is worn, and you can see there 20. That's the amount of turns it took to take it off. So I've gone ahead and fitted the new Meyle HD track rod end, and I screwed it on 20 times, and I'm going to take a measurement from the same place that I did previously to see what kind of distance we've got. I measured it on the bench, and it's about 6mm gap that it should be. So looking here, it's saying it's about 288. So that's saying it's about 288, and it was on 292 beforehand. So that's out by about 4mm, although I measured about a 6mm gap. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust. I'm going to take the track rod out. I'm just going to unscrew it 3 turns and then put it back in and remeasure. So I've gone ahead, I removed the track rod end, I unscrewed it 3 times, put it back in. I know you can actually adjust the track rod by actually turning the rod itself and it will adjust, but I decided to do it that way. Don't ask why, I just did. And now the nut is still in the same place as it was with the last track rod end, the OE one that was on there, and the gap is actually 6mm. I measured it with my vernier caliper and that's 6mm gap. I measured the bottom, but you know, between the chassis leg and the swivel hub, and that's now at 292. So everything's looking good. So that should be back in the same place as the last one was, but I will get the tracking done at a later date, so make sure you subscribe to see that. So I applied a small amount of copper grease on the thread just to give it some protection for the future. I then went ahead and locked it off against the tie rod end, and I also tightened up the nut underneath, holding the tie rod end into the swivel hub. And now it's just a case of putting the wheel back on and doing the other side. And this draws the video to an end. So if this video has helped you, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing because that will help me and the channel grow. Thank you very much for watching. So until next time, take care, stay safe, and God bless.